Well, good afternoon, Mercury subscribers, to round 7 men's hockey action, brought to you from the Tasmanian Hockey Centre, basking in sunshine on Tasmanian State Election Day. We have Northwest Grads and Canterbury, 3rd versus 4th today, and we've just got underway with a little turnover with Brenton Watson stealing possession for Canterbury. A new look Canterbury with their new strips. I like it for a new strip, although there's a little bit going on with their shorts as well. But Canterbury out to claim another large scalp in the Men's Premier League. They've certainly been on a charmed run to start the season and find themselves comfortably sitting amongst the top 4 sides, and this will be an important test for them across this second round. Northwest graduates, last year's premiers, a little bit of a slow start after missing some personnel. They've got premiership player Matt Lim back for the second game running, and he does give them a lot of drive through defensive midfield position. And then we've also got the debut for Northwest graduates of a young up-and-coming star in Oliver Stebbings. Oliver, of course, was the national player of the tournament, the recent under-15 championships. As we see, Canterbury draw first blood with the first circle entry through Sam McCulloch, who's just come back from training with the Kookaburra squad over in Perth. Going back to Stebbings, I think there hasn't been a more highly anticipated 15-year-old debuting in the Premier League since probably Jeremy Edwards and Eddie Ockenen's debuts at respective ages. Both of those players went on to play for Australia, so it tells you something about the talent that Stebbings has displayed already. There's that man I mentioned before, Matt Lim, back from Western Australia, distributing wide to Julian Vittorio, but unfortunately finds the foot of Tyson Bessel there, and Canterbury will bring it back into play through Vinnie Harmon. It's been a lot more composed Canterbury Lions this year. They like to knock the ball around in their back 4. Craig Donovan opting to go right that time to Simon O'Connor, and Sean Redmond unable to control for the Lions. A little bit of a slow start to this game as both sides suss each other out. But I think that's symptomatic of the fact that there's a lot on the line in this game. I like the look of the Canterbury Lions. Last time I commentated one of their live stream games, I did question the balance of their attack, and I do like the fact that they've got Ben East and Sean Redmond back in today, offering goal threat. But Northwest graduates, speaking of goal threat, straight through in on goal, and that's a fantastic reverse stick pass by Gobbin Gill. It finds Harvey Bessel, and well saved by Max Larkin. We'll come to him in a moment. And they continue to threaten here, Northwest grads, until Canterbury can steal possession. And this is what McCulloch loves to do. He loves to run and carry, tries to feed the ball through to graduates defenders, but is unable to connect with his teammate. Great save there from Max Larkin. Had to be alert there with the 2-on-1 situation with Gobbins penetrating ball into the attacking circle. Larkin, of course, yesterday was named in the Australian under-18 extended squad of about 33 athletes. The National Futures squad aims to identify future Olympians, and Max Larkin, after a fantastic National Under-18 Championships in Launceston, of course live streamed by News Limited, was called up as one of 4 goalkeepers in that squad, along with young Diamondbacks defender, or midfielder, Oliver Pritchard. Great for Tasmanian men's hockey. And here we go, Canterbury, that boy Ben East earning possession, and Canterbury having a little bit of territory in their attacking quarter. Tom Rasmussen finds James Sexton, who's made the trip down from Launceston. He also plies his trade with South Launceston Suns. Scored a cracking Tomahawk goal just a few weeks ago, I might add. And he's one of a new look, younger generation of Lions players coming through, driving them into the top 4. Northwest grads, resolute in defence, Jai Walker-Kidd and James Burke, really 2 experienced, accomplished Premier League defenders. And there's what Walker-Kidd has in his locker, a long, raking overhead, cut out by Brenton Watson, one of 3 Canterbury Lions coaches. And just looks to consolidate possession here. Back to O'Connor. He'll find McHugh, under a little bit of pressure from White, turns into traffic, but out to Donovan. He'll relieve pressure there. McCulloch again with some space. Quick, strong, penetrating pass. Looks for East. Turns that on target. Well, blocked by goalkeeper Dan Harper. And the follow-up attempt, he can't skew back on target. But a little bit of a let-off there for Northwest Grads. And you can see how dangerous McCulloch is when he's got room to drive forward and get his eyes up. Okay, my name is Adam Clifford, of course the Mercury's hockey writer, and I'm joined today by Hockey Tasmania communications extraordinaire Scott Edwards. Scott, how do you see this one between third and fourth?
Thanks Adam, thanks for having me. It's good to be here for this second live stream match today. Look, fascinating match-up today. I'm really looking forward to what these sides have. McCulloch straight away driving into attack. That's a fantastic ball to the spot and well worked penalty corner. Youngster Luke Palmer there receiving and causing an early penalty corner. And well, this is a great early opportunity to see what Canterbury have from the penalty corner back to early in the match. No, but I'm really looking forward to this matchup between two very even sides at the moment who have a lot to play for. And the winner of this match potentially sets themselves up nicely for a good run at the finals. Maybe even top two, or they'll certainly stay in touch with the top two. So there is plenty riding on this match too.
Absolutely a really important moment here for Sam McCulloch, top of the battery. Well run down by Alistair White. Courageous stuff there. And Canterbury will bring play back underway shortly. Yes, really important today. Whoever gets the points, they'll stay in touch with the top two. That all important double chance come September's final series. Rasmussen, not for the first time in this match, getting up the ground on the ball. Not a lot doing, so elects to roll. Gives it back to Watson, but a lot of bodies down in that quarter of the ground. So Canterbury might be wise to try and pull this ball out. Vinnie Harmon's got the right idea there, but just not quite enough distance with the overhead. But Canterbury can maintain possession. Coughed up to young Bessel. And here's Matt Lim. It's turnover possession. A little bit of turnover hockey over there. Gobbin, Gill and Matt Lim try to combine, but Canterbury have got numbers to that contest and find a way to earn possession back. O'Connor will just allow a couple of substitutions to be made. Of course, a very hot day in May down here at the Tasmanian Hockey Centre, so they'll be rotating the subs very heavily today. And Northwest Grads, we can already see there's a little bit of a sag press that they're implementing today, Scotty.
Yeah, we just saw that last minute of play where it's tightened up quite a fair bit in midfield. The first couple of minutes quite open. Both teams had chances in on the circle, but after that penalty corner, you saw a little bit of back and forth. No real clean possession in that midfield. Things are just starting to tighten up around there, so I think no early goals, but this is now a chance to see some of those stars step up and see what they can do to break this game open for their team. Certainly looking at players like Joel Walker-Kidd from the back. It's going to be a little bit harder through midfield. He's going to certainly come into play with his passing ability and certainly his aerial ability as Northwest attacking down the right-hand side, looking for Harvey Bessel, who's had a pretty good start to the season himself. What I like about this match today, though, Adam, is you've touched on as well, there's just so much to talk about. Sam McCulloch coming back from duties with the Kookaburras, helping them in their preparations for the Olympics. Players chosen in the Futures squad. We've got young players making their debut, exciting to watch. So there is a lot of little sub-stories out on the pitch today as White creates a turnover, falls to Gill, now Lim, looking for the follow-up brave tackle from Hogan Jones to clear that out of defence. And Northwest will reload through Vittorio down the right. Looks for the entry, it's spilled to the top of the circle. McCormick recycles it out to Burke. Burke straight back into the circle. This is Donovan. Loves to have a run, loves to run it out of defence. Let's get those flowing locks flying behind him when he gets his speed up.
Yes, the honey badger, as he's termed himself. Canterbury just can't quite connect a few passes together now, so Northwest Grads have just got themselves a little bit on top, but they've just tried to thread the needle with their circle entries and been a little bit rushed. And Matt Lim now, just to steady the ship, you would think, sends it into Gobbengill, who I think's on for a big game today. His knee strapped after taking a bit of a knock last week. And there's that man Donovan, again getting physical, having his presence felt.
Yeah, well, there were some concerns with Gill last week. I think it was the third quarter. He just twisted awkwardly on his knee and went down and didn't have any further part in the round 6 match. So it's good to see him back out on the pitch. He's strapped up, ready to go, and it's a good ball to the spot. Bessel just couldn't bring it under control, but good to see Gill back out on the pitch. He's the 2020 Premier League All-Star Player of the Year. So all eyes will be on him to really break this game open.
Yeah, certainly a little bit of concern last week with his knee, as we see McCulloch again looking to drive the ball. Hasn't quite come off for him, not the best contact he's ever made. But just to go back to Gobbengill, I understand he's going away with the National Development Squad camp in a couple of weeks, so if there's any question marks about that knee, I don't think he'd be out there today, and I think he'd be very relieved. As I see Alistair White bursting down the left-hand side, he cuts in front of Harmon. Harvey Bessel makes the lead past the left post. Max Larkin very quick off his line, and the ball just goes across the face, but we've got a free hit to Canterbury there.
Good work from Larkin. He was quick, harassing Bessel on the baseline, shutting down that angle. He's someone who was chosen in that future squad, had an excellent under-18s tournament, and is he was the 2020 All-Star Goalkeeper of the Year, so certainly someone who, over the next couple of years, can establish himself as a potential Kookaburra.
James Burke taking that one quickly, can't quite connect with White. Harmon will just buy himself some time here. Well stolen back by Bessel though, very patient stuff. Always like a striker that doesn't give away an unnecessary free hit in that situation. And Northwest Grads get the fruits of their labour. Early ball in. And it was Yammer O'Keefe who immediately found himself on the end of a quickly taken circle entry. Canterbury just under a little bit of pressure, so Ian McHugh will bring it back out, connects with McCulloch. You can see, Scotty, that Northwest Grads have stepped their press out, not giving Canterbury as much time. It's resulted in a few turnovers, but
There is an interesting tactical component to this game, because I'd almost say that both of these sides are playing very similar styles this season. There are some key differences, but I think both are very happy to actually sit back and look for a counter-attacking opportunity rather than look at the high-tempo style of play that Derwent brings as contrast. And so I've got a feeling that this game might actually play out for the full 4 quarters. We might actually see a winner emerge until right at the end, just because of the way those two teams match up in terms of their approach tactically.
yeah, I think you're right in terms of the way they like to bring the ball out at the back. I think though when Canterbury can break a line in their front third, it's all guns blazing, and they've got a little bit of the blinkers on at times. So that'll test Northwest graduates. As I see young Oliver Stebbings coming on for his Premier League debut, he'll be playing alongside good family friend in Jai Walker Kidd, who's kindly brought him down the Midlands Highway today. And Gill has been prolific early, both McGill and McCulloch, so interesting to see which of those two players can walk off the field today having had the most impact.
Yeah, two of our Australian under 21 representatives from a couple of years ago, the Boroughs. So they'll know each other's game pretty well, having played quite a fair bit of hockey together, top level. Yeah, could be the key matchup actually, because you can certainly see both of those players scoring big goals at key moments. to win the matches as they have done in the past. So interesting battle there between those two. Gill does get an opportunity early. Now Lim down the right-hand side feeds it back to the spot that was raised. And the umpires picked it out and said, that pass, if you're going to make that pass, it's got to be along the ground or not dangerous.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Alex Hogan-Jones, but just a little bit rushed there in the way that he tried to connect with his right half and turn possession over, and Alistair White, rather than putting the ball back through where it came from, was able to connect with the sideways pass. And now we've got Canterbury's turn to attack, and a nice composed move there. Oh, he's been called for a stick obstruction there, Vincent Harmon.
A good call from umpire Aaron Kitchen to one of our promising rising umpires, as Gill puts it dangerously over the top of the Hogan-Jones, and Hogan-Jones doesn't flinch. He's a tough player, but Kitchener just recently umpired the men's under-18 gold medal match up in Launceston. To miss out on the finals last year, and they're certainly on track so far this season to finish inside the top four, especially with the way the top four is shaping up. So it's all good signs at the moment with that coaching group from Canterbury, and whatever they're doing definitely seems to have had an impact. Fantastic intercept from Vincent Harmon, but he can't keep it in because he was through. If he'd managed to keep that under control. He's cursing himself as he runs back into defence.
Yeah, certainly a case of spent it before he had it under control. Vittorio back to Walker Kidd, under a bit of pressure from Lockie Rogers, but able to get some good distance, Walker Kidd and Burke, on their outlets at the moment, which is stretching Canterbury. And Tyson Bessel, as he does quite regularly, posting back. And Burke now gets an opportunity to scan. Just composed there, Burke. Not a lot on at the moment. Well done by Harmon there to read the play and step in front of Bessel. Both sides a little shy to go forward quickly. Hogan-Jones tries to connect with Ben East down the line, but isn't able to get that pass going to a stick. And it'll be Burke again on the ball. Goes the aerial route, and Matt Lim snuck in behind, feeds it back to Harvey Bessel, who's unable to connect with Alistair White. That was a nice opportunity there. It was a nice passage of play.
I do wonder what those conversations would have gone like in both respective camps, because you look at defences where you've got Max Larkin and Dan Harper, two pretty well established Premier League goalkeepers now, and you've got experienced defenders like Ian McHugh for Canterbury and Jai Walker-Kidd and James Burke from Northwest. How much time they would have spent on talking about being patient and trying to break down the defence methodically. So Northwest find themselves in an excellent position in the circle, and Canterbury have some work to do to defend that.
Looked like Vittorio and White had just stopped there for a moment, and there was no free hit from umpire Oliver Smith. And very nearly connected with someone on the spot there. And here's McCulloch driving down the left, well held up by Lim.
Played that well. It was dangerous to make that run and commit to the tackle after he potentially could have been caught up for breaching the 5. Hogan-Jones, good ball in, good deflection as well, and it's just gone wide, just wide.
Classic play there from Canterbury, get the ball in the attacking third and then very quickly look to cut infield and get it going at the goals. And James Sexton, who'd ghosted in behind his graduates marker, very nearly getting enough on that as umpire Aaron Kitchener finds a reason there to give Ian McHugh 2 minutes in the sin bin.
This is a huge opening for Canterbury. This game is going to be decided, I feel, on moments like this. They've got the extra player out on the field. You can see that Burke was definitely onto that straight away and wanted to get the ball forward. Good tackle from East, tracking back, and clears it well, and that'll soak up a little bit of a penalty time. But so as soon as that card was given, Burke was straight over the ball and was pushing his guys up because he recognises that this is probably going to be their best 60 seconds that they could possibly have to get in this Canterbury defence and work their way into goal. So.
Absolutely, Scotty. That's why he wears the captain's armband, just sensing the moment, a chance to shift momentum and put some pressure on. That's a great lead by Harvey Bessel. Picks it up on his reverse, goes hunting for a penalty corner, but not the strongest he's ever carried the ball in the attacking circle, and allows Vincent Harmon to steal possession and win the free hit. Just a chance to slow down possession now while they're down to 10 players. But he's coughed the ball up there to Goblingill, and you don't want to do that too often in a match. Again, tries to feed Bessel on his reverse stick, but unfortunately that time he can't keep it under control. And have to let off for the Lions, who probably have another 30 seconds or so to cope before McHugh rejoins them. So Simon O'Connor puts the ball long down the other end of the ground. Good chase by Palmer, forces Vittorio to keep the ball in play. And a nice little dinky overhead there from Lim. But Burke's going to change the point of attack now. In fact, he won't. He's just going to stop and assess. And that's a great ball by Lim. So Harvey Bessel doing some great work on the lateral leads in the attacking 25. He connects with Tyson. And Tyson Bessel has earned himself a penalty corner. Was that for the defender sweeping it over the back baseline deliberately? Unfortunately, you can't do that. You've got to try and find the sideline. And unfortunately, El Cheapo Sweepo over the back line will result in a penalty corner, and this was a very dangerous opportunity for Jai Walker-Kidd up against the Lions' Max Larkin.
Yeah, just before that penalty corner was called, the 2-minute penalty on Ian McHugh was up, and he's raced back onto the field and put himself into the defensive battery, because Ian McHugh, probably the best, alongside maybe Ben Reid, as a player on the post to get a stick on these drag flicks. So that's why he's raced back into that position. But the injection comes in. It is a drag flick. Good save from Larkin. He's got a bit of a contest on as that ball was travelling back down from the rebound. But that drag flick, not too difficult, straight at him. A lot of power behind it, but he was able to control it. They will get a second look, Northwest grads.
A little bit of a nervous moment there for Vinnie Harmon as the ball precariously sat above his eyesight with his mask on, but here we go. Opportunity for grads. And that is how you do it. Jai Walker-Kidd, take a bow, a powerful low flick down the goalkeeper's left-hand side, his weight going the other way, and he has drilled that just above the backboard. And that's how you do it, Scotty.
I haven't seen a goalkeeper in the past, however long Jai Walker-Kidd has played in the Premier League, ever be able to handle him consistently. There hasn't been a single goalkeeper in the competition that has ever been able to get a read on him. He's probably the one player in the competition that has the wood over whoever is standing in his way. And he's just gains extraordinary power on that drag flick, and just put it to Larkin's left, and really difficult for a goalkeeper to save, but 1-0 to Northwest Graduates, and they've got the lead.
They do, and the thing I like about Walker-Kidd, not only is he able to generate tremendous power from those drag flicks, but consistently goes low, where the goalkeeper's gloves don't generally come into play, but also is able to just cock his wrists at the last bit at the point of release and just change that direction, so giving the goalkeeper just a fraction of a second to pick up the direction of where it's going. So another goal to Walker-Kidd, and this sets the game up nicely for Northwest Grads with the way that they play, with a back four and two defensive mids. And they'll try and dictate the tempo now for the next 5 minutes. Very experienced at this, maintaining momentum and taking it away from sides. Coughed the ball up there to young Lockie Rogers, who's I think a talent, but he's coughed the ball up to James Burke, who's got a track on an angle, waiting for some support, but a little bit rushed with the pass unfortunately. But Northwest Grads won't mind the ball down that end of the field just for the next couple of moments.
I think it'll be very interesting to watch their patterns of play over the next 5 minutes or so, or certainly for the remainder of this half. We've got a feeling that with that 1-0 lead now, they'll be very comfortable just to slow it down a little bit further, spend a bit more time passing in between their defenders, and they're really going to force Canterbury to come at them. Great tackle there as well from that's youngster Slip, I think.
Yeah, young Bailey Slip with a fantastic reverse stick tackle there. Luke Palmer had just ghosted him behind and left his markers for dead. And Bailey Slip's come up trumps there, just as he was about to enter the attacking circle. Not a lot of midfield movement for Canterbury at the moment. Brendan Watson's going to come back, but all he can do is post back there, and it's just inviting a little bit of pressure at the moment because Canterbury can't string sort of the 2 or 3 passes needed, and certainly their midfielders aren't able to connect. Alistair White's posted back to Harvey Bessel, done that nicely, rolls and seeks to feed young Tyson Bessel. John Cooper, what's his name? Angus Cooper on his tomahawk. I'm a little bit shocked, Scotty, to see him up that end of the ground, to be honest, but nearly came up absolutely trumps on his tomahawk. Coach Rod Clifford just trialling different positional options for Northwest grads, probably with the fact that young Oliver Stebbings is making his debut in defence today and giving Bailey Slips important start just a moment ago. As we mentioned before, Canterbury just struggling to string that 3 or 4 required passes together. Harvey Bessel's been very busy in this quarter, presenting a big option, and here's young Cooper again. He's always going to get first to the ball with that tremendous reach of his.
It's an interesting move too. Seems to be sliding into that midfield position, that inside forward position at the moment. I've never seen him play at Premier League level. Before is usually a defender, so I'll just be interested to see whether he actually remains there for his time on the pitch or whether he doesn't actually make his way back down in defence over the next couple of minutes. But Canterbury trying to create an opening. Again, Slip and Stebbings working together there, but Canterbury found themselves with a free hit. Deep in the pocket, East over the top of it. Uses Watson. Watson been fairly involved in the play for Canterbury today. They are in a position now where they have to chase this match, which I'm not sure whether it will suit them against Northwest Grads, because this Grads defence is very compact, very capable. And that one's fallen over the back Bessel.
He's like a magnet at the moment, Bessel. Larkin comes out but isn't able to get a stick to it, and young Yammer O'Keefe, I think it was, diving in behind. That was dangerous, and a little bit of a let-off there for Canterbury. And Joel Walker-Kidd just turning defence into attack with the quickly taken overhead. And you've got to bring those aerials to ground if you're a defender. Nice pirouette from Vittorio, and they've shifted the point of attack out to Slip. Walker-Kidd looking ever so comfortable in possession. Burke's going to steal some meterage. He's channeled to the corner. An important couple of moments with young Sam McCulloch unable to get back onto the ground, with Northwest Grads in possession. If they can steal another corner and a shot on goal here. And no sooner does Bessel again, first time deflection, unable to find Yammer O'Keefe and Alistair White.
I think Harvey Bessel has really enjoyed the clean out that Grads had of their forward line over the off-season. I think he's really taken to being the main man up on that forward line now, and he's had an excellent start to the season, and he is a promising 15-year player coming up as Northwest again make the entry, but just a stumble at the end by O'Keefe.
Good composure by Rogers there. Luke Redmond's got on the ball, threads it down the line, but unable to be controlled by Luke Redmond. Yeah, I think young Yammer O'Keefe there wasn't quite aware of the time and the options he had at his disposal, but promising young player. And Bessel, I think, absolutely. He's presenting beautifully, trying to create and get on the ball, which is fantastic. He knows he's now the leading forward and playing like it. Always been a player with a very strong reverse stick strike, a good deflection, but now what I like about him is he's a far more consistent player. And a bit of a disagreement about who was under that ball first. A lot of aerials being thrown in this game today, Scotty, which is drying up the service for the midfielders.
Yeah, if you'd said at the start of the game there would have been a few extra aerials, I would have believed you, because it's Joe Walker-Kidd and Ian McHugh can send them back and forth all day. But it is interesting that Walker-Kidd isn't quite getting the depth that he is usually accustomed to. We haven't seen any actually get over the back of Canterbury consistently, and that might be due to just how deep Canterbury are setting themselves in defence. But certainly that penetration on that aerial isn't quite there for Walker-Kidd. So I'm just wondering whether they persist with that as an option, or whether he just puts that away at half time and goes along the ground route, especially with the one goal lead that they've got.
Ball from Hughes back to Stebbings. Connects nicely with Hughes. They look for some depth, and they do. That man Bessel again. And Ian McHugh with his trademark ice hockey glove, unable to get under the ball well there. And here's Gill, can't give him space on his tomahawk, and in fact just struggled to make a clean connection with that, hitting the back of his stick and chopping down on top of the ball. You can't do that, I'm afraid, in hockey.
He did very well up until the finish, which you would normally back him in from there. But wonderful piece of skill to take on the Canterbury defenders and create that opportunity for himself. Good run from McCulloch and Rasmussen. Rasmussen takes a quick peek at the clock, and the siren sounds for half time.
Yeah, so I think we saw Northwest Grad certainly take charge of that quarter. Impressed by the way Walker-Kidd and Burke have just brought the ball out from defence, and of course Bessel has got very, very busy in that quarter, generating a lot of half chances, getting involved, connecting with the players around him. And we're about to get underway in the third quarter of this Men's Premier League Hockey Round 7 match, brought exclusively to you by the Mercury. Northwest Graduates leading 1-0. A pretty even first quarter, but Northwest Grad started to get on top in the second term and converted their advantage with Jai Walker-Kidd knocking home a very powerful low penalty corner flick past the helpless Canterbury defence. And they look like they're going to come out with plenty of energy, the Lions. Alex Hogan-Jones now assessing his options, checking the ball nicely. Goes back to McHugh. A really important match, this one, with both sides level on points, third and fourth on the ladder, and just a game behind behind Derwent and OHA rather. So both sides very keen to secure the points, so stay in touch with that top two. Of course, the game before this saw OHA 10-1 winners, big winners against University. And here we have Harvey Bessel now, after a fantastic individual second quarter, carries the ball nice and strongly. The tackle coming in from behind by Vincent Harmon, not in a great position to tackle there. Checked the stick of Bessel, and umpire Aaron Kitchener has awarded a penalty corner, and justifiably so, I would add. So up strolls Walker-Kidd. Tracking at 50%. He's won from two opportunities in the opening half. and he'll be licking his lips at this opportunity now, having sent one to the goalkeeper's right and one successfully past the goalkeeper's left-hand side. Gill to inject. It'll look to go to Bessel, and doesn't in fact. It goes to White, low flick, down, well saved by Larkin, and he was quick off his line to block the follow-up shot, and that's well negotiated by Canterbury. Surprise tactic by Graduates not to go with Walker Kidd after he was successful with the last attempt. And go with the second battery that was offset a little bit further to the right, but not successful. And Matt Lim, that's a little bit careless there, running into Hogan Jones, who's will brush that off like it never happened. And Lim just slow to get to the bench as well, so that won't please Coach Rod Clifford, but we'll take a seat for 2 minutes. And now chance for Canterbury. They get numbers forward, and Watson fires wide to Donovan. Loves this position, and unfortunately his pass to Sexton has rolled onto his foot. Just gives chance for Northwest Graduates through Burke just to steady the ship. They're down a player, so they look to slow the game down, so the onus will be on Canterbury to step numbers forward and really try and earn turnovers high up the ground, as Sean Redmond has done. And Harvey Bessel, Northwest Graduates down to 9 now, as he's sent from the field for another careless tackle, and Canterbury now find themselves with a really important moment in this game, trailing 1-0, but with 2 extra players on the field. Donovan finds Lockie Rogers, jinking run, unable to get through, and that's well defended by Northwest Graduates, and Julian Vittorio, the ever reliable Julian Vittorio, clears the danger. Hogan Jones quick to get the ball out and around. Smart play by O'Connor. It goes back to the danger area, and Gill will look to hold the possession here. Oh, he doesn't in fact, and he's slipped over. Gives the Lions another chance. And blocked shot there by McCormack. And Northwest Graduates, a little bit of a lifeline there. Gill, a little bit slow to get to his feet, shaking his hand. Just fell a little bit awkwardly on that right wrist. And Vittorio will just take the ball to the sideline and win the free hit. Just looking to slow possession down after a bit of a frantic start to this third quarter for Northwest Graduates. I would not be surprised at all under the full press if Jai Walker Kidd sends this 70 yards. He does. Cut out by Harmon, but he wasn't the first one underneath that ball, so Lim can find Tyson Bessel, receives on his back stick. Max Larkin comes out and does a great job with his stick, and Canterbury now have turned defence into attack. Young Rogers slips the ball square. That's a 50-50 contest, and Walker Kidd comes up trumps. Just very untidy with their passing at the moment, Northwest Graduates, and it's just allowing Canterbury to walk that foot taller. Now Northwest Graduates back to 10 with Lim on the field. And Walker Kidd, not his best ever aerial, but not the best ever received for Ben East. And the untidiness of this third quarter continues as Harmon steals possession, leaves it behind, gets it back again, assesses his options and finds a teammate down the line, connects back with it. And that will displease the Canterbury supporters in the crowd there, and possession will be given back to Northwest Grads, and they're back to the full complement. So a bit of a let off there for Graduates. They were down to 9 players, back to 11 now, and they've survived. Burke will just send that down the other end. A little bit of turnover hockey at the moment. Vittorio will look to protect it, but has been called for an obstruction. And Rasmussen quick to assess his options. Goes back to O'Connor, gets it back. He's going to look to spin and does so really well. He's broken a line. A little bit of a show and go. and wins the free hit just beyond their attacking 23. It's been a frantic start to the third quarter. Donovan, he'll drive that ball in, but well read by Gill. He'll stick to. And Brenton Watson will get us back underway. Again, looks to thread the needle. Goulburn up to the challenge, and he'll just tomahawk that ball away and hope that Northwest Grades can just steady themselves. Very uncharacteristic start to the third term by them, Scotty. They were down to 9 players, back to 11 now, but just need to look to knock the ball around and calm themselves down.
Notice then the pace is certainly up to start the second half, as you'd expect, but certainly both teams started with a little bit extra. I saw Max Larkin called on a couple of times in goals as well to save Canterbury's bacon. Northwest really pushing for that second goal, so I don't expect this game to finish up as a high scoring match, but I certainly expect 1 or 2 extra goals, especially with Harvey Bessel and Goblin Gill over the ball. Great pass to White. Oh, Alistair White. What a finish from the all-star defender turned all-star attacker. And he slotted it into the opposite corner against young Max Larkin. Young Max Larkin in goal. So 2-0 for Northwest Grads. Important goal for them.
Absolutely, and that's why Alistair White, such a versatile player. Not only a star defender with an outstanding ability to read the play, good sound basic skills, but can go forward. And when everyone else was like bees to a honey pot, he drifted further in behind nicely, and anytime he's got the opportunity to take a shot, he just very composed, calm, assesses his options, and just drilled that in the bottom left-hand corner. That is a huge goal for Northwest Grads to take them 2-0 up in the battle between 3rd and 4th place on the ladder. And the Lions need this boy to get into the game, but unfortunately chops down on that ball with the back of his stick, that being Sam McCulloch. And now he's got to do the defensive running against one of the game breakers. Goblin Gill connects with Burke. Takes the ball down the line, but isn't necessarily happy with the support he got from his fellow forwards on that occasion, Burke. With the space in this game now, it's starting to open up. And Burke will win the free hit against Watson.
It'll be interesting to see how Northwest Grads handle being 2-0 up, what their approach is going to be. Under previous coach Stephen McMullen, he probably would have really backed their defence and slowed things down. And Rod Clifford, the coach for 2021, is a little bit more attacking in his mindset and is more than happy to go forward and score multiple goals. So it'll just be interesting to see exactly what happens from here for Northwest, whether they continue to try and chase the scoreboard or whether they try and hold on to this 2-0 lead and remain patient.
Yeah, he played for Tasmania and Victoria as a centre forward, Rod. I think 7 or 8 leading goal scorer trophies. 30 or 40 goals a season on grass, he tells me, which is a lot harder than his AstroTurf and penalty corner stuff. So I think they'll be looking to attack Scotty, and they certainly will be if Goblin Gill's given as much space as he's getting at the moment in midfield. But Canterbury have to look to get the ball going a lot quicker than they are now.
You just think they're taking a moment just to reassess on the field. I think that's one of the challenges that you have when your coaches are players. As again, Northwest create a turnover and go into attack. I think that's one of the challenges where you've got Brenton Watson, Ian McHugh and Craig Donovan all out on the field at the one time, and you can see they're all trying to direct some play and give some instructions to their players. But it's much harder to do it when you're in the thick of it than it is from the sideline, as you no doubt would know, being a experienced Premier League head coach yourself.
Yeah, certainly looking like they're struggling just to set the tone, and that's a great cutout there from Tom Rasmussen. Had to be alert there on his reverse stick side with Alistair White seeking his second goal. And McHugh v Goblin, another interesting battle. And McHugh will come away with the ball, opts to dump it back to Sean Redmond. And that's a turnover ball for the Lions. just struggling to connect their passes. It's all a little bit frantic with the way that they're leading and connecting at the moment, the Lions.
The match is dangerously poised for Canterbury. Northwest Grads will be very happy with how things have worked out, and they continue to press the circle too. So these are all good signs for Northwest. We would probably say the defending premiers started off a little bit slow this season. I tend to disagree a little bit because they were going through quite a transition period, and I think they've actually done really well to get the points that they have and position themselves quite nicely inside the top 4 and well within touch of the top 2 after 7 rounds. And McCulloch, big run through the midfield with him, gets a little bit of attention and wins the free hit just inside the 23. Wants to move it quickly, has Donovan in support and just a little bit sloppy on his first touch.
The pass was just a little bit behind him as you get a little bit older, Scotty, it sometimes gets a little bit harder to just stop and let the ball come, and unfortunately he wasn't able to control that pass as he committed himself on the overlap. Here's young Stebbings now.
Hasn't done a lot wrong, Stebbings. He's looked quite comfortable at the Premier League level, especially with the calibre of players that he's got around him. So he'll be pretty happy with his debut so far.
Yeah, looks a very nice player, very promising player. Good passing range, both aerial, slide passes, slaps. And some good elimination skills as well when pressed. Looks a real player for the future, so it's great to see him coming down from Launceston today and getting some minutes in the Premier League and testing himself against some players that are in the best in the country coming through at the moment. McCulloch and Gill certainly. Max Larkin now an Australian under-18 squad member. So some real talent here in the Hobart Premier League competition, and we're starting to see that on display. Here's Stebbings with that trademark composure that belies his young age. At Canterbury with Ben East, nicknamed the Beast. Finds Hogan Jones, was it? But is unable to penetrate the defensive wall that Northwest Grads are able to set up in those sort of situations in the pockets. And you can see the distance now between Northwest Grads halfbacks and fullbacks on full display because of the passing range of Jai Walker Kidd. He sends it about 60 yards, but Northwest unable to hold the ball with their direct style of play, and that's a great direct ball. Finds James Sexton. He'll cut back, loves his right to left drags. His pass to East is cut out by Walker Kidd.
No, look, wall is the correct way to describe it because Canterbury, as this match has worn on, it's become harder and harder for them to breach the circle, and certainly they haven't been able to breach it cleanly for a long time now. So that Northwest defence is really doing well.
That's better by the Lions because they changed the point of attack, but unfortunately the little lift by Redmond was just a little bit too far out of his reach. And now Northwest can come away with a 3-on-3 situation. McCormack's going to lead beautifully down the line. He's going to look to cut infield. Big tackle there from Redmond, but Gill stills possession, just glides past young Tom Rasmussen, and he's met at the top of the circle by O'Connor, just outside the circle. Don't know how that went 5 yards, but anyway, Rasmussen was up to the challenge. And now McCulloch. He's going to drift past one, tries to knock it in behind the second. Unlucky there to not have that work rewarded, but there's a lot of space now in the middle of the ground. Alistair White with a big driving ball through. It's cut out by Vinnie Harmon, who was alert to the fact that there was only seconds remaining on the clock. And it was a bit of a frantic start and end to that quarter, Scotty. I don't think we've seen the last of the goals in this match. Absolute flurry of opportunities to bring them both those games back to 2-1 and very nearly steal the game on the buzzer. So don't go anywhere. There's still plenty of fight, and they go straight on the attack. Canterbury. East will feed McCulloch in the attacking 25. Time to look for a searching ball, but there is Jai Walker Kidd, as he always is, well positioned. Always takes that hot line, as we call it in hockey, the direct line between the ball and the goals. So Canterbury look to shift the ball from side to side here, looking for an opening. And here's Donovan driving forward, earns the free hit against Lim. And this is the situation where they need to get a good entry, not through the free defender of Northwest Graduates, which is Burke at the moment. O'Connor will shift over to McHugh. They go all the way over to Harmon. And that is well cut out by Bessel with a lovely right to left drag and steals possession. Vinnie Harmon will have another sit down. I think that's his second of the game, in fact. But just for 2 minutes, so a little bit lucky because the other one was for a wayward tackle as well from behind. So almost a carbon copy. O'Connor has misread that. That's gone through him and bamboozled him. And there we go. Probably an indication of the tactics from Rodcliffe in this last quarter with Bessel just posting the ball back to Lim. And Northwest Grad's comfortable with the one-man advantage just to knock the ball around. Lim will go direct right across the field with a raking pass to James Burke, who, uncustomarily, struggled to control that. And it's now Canterbury, despite trailing 2-0, that want to go a little bit slow. Direct ball there to East though. Reverse stick, mid-air swipe, unable to connect cleanly. And you can just see on our screens, ladies and gentlemen, how much space there is between the two sides. As they're quick to commit some numbers forward, not so quick to do the reverse running.
Interesting to see Sean Redmond play so much in defence, usually a striker. Just wonder what the thinking around that was, whether it's going to be more of a permanent move or whether it's just because they might be missing one or two other players like Angus Oakford today. But they have made a couple of big moves. I've noticed Ian McHugh is now playing out on the right wing. So Canterbury, if you had any doubts that they were going to chase this game, you can put them to bed because they're trying to throw everything they can at finding a way to goal.
Yeah, well, I think Sean Redmond really had no impact in the first 3 quarters, so it makes sense to send him back, see if they can get something out of him. McHugh, I think, almost looks like they're playing 4-4-2, but McHugh will jump up into the front line when they're pressing. So, or in fact, they might have sent Luke Redmond into the forward line at a midfield. So, as they often do, looking to change things up the lines. And don't be surprised if they can peg a goal back whether Max Larkin comes off and they commit all their numbers forward. So don't go anywhere. We've got still a bit to play out in the last 10 or so minutes of this match. Rasmussen's probably another one that they could throw forward. He's had impact in previous Premier League matches.
Certainly a very smart attacking player, and I think he wants to set himself up as a defensive player now, and he's certainly been given that opportunity this season. But he's very clever in the attacking circle.
Not great connection there from Redmond. Coughed it up to Bessel, who is going to give the hockey equivalent of leather poisoning by the end of this game. I think he's been very prolific and surely going to catch the attention of the umpires, I would have thought. O'Connor wasn't a regular in this side at the first couple of rounds, but has worked his way in with some good performances. And now that man Redmond on the attack. Bit of spillage and a scrimmage inside the attacking circle's been lifted, and a little bit of disappointment on the faces of the Canterbury Lions there. They thought they might have earned themselves a penalty corner.
Look, Simon O'Connor was trying to tell me at the start of the season that he was done with Premier League and that was it. He was only going to fill in occasionally. And I think when Canterbury had the likes of Khan Riley and Al McBain filling in from the north and northwest, he would have struggled to get a game. But I certainly think O'Connor is in their best 11 as one of their defenders. So I like that he's back out there again, and I hope that he does actually play out the remainder of the season. I hope he was just having a bit of a joke.
Great clubman on Spud O'Connor.
He's a former captain, and he's someone who has actually only gotten better with age. I think he's only improved as the years have gone on. He's got more experience and reads the game really well now.
Now this is the other pitfall with playing coaches. Ian McHugh just going off very frustrated there that a couple of umpiring decisions haven't gone the Lions' way. He goes and takes his seat on the bench, and that's part of his scheduled rotation, but always difficult when you're a playing coach and really caught up in the emotion of the match. And Northwest Grads through Vittorio, connects, does a 1-2 with Lim. Might even connect back here, but Tom Rasmussen showing he can do it at both ends of the ground. And that's a lovely ball from McCulloch, cross field to Redmond. Hasn't got the lateral lead though coming out to help him, so he's isolated, needs to go back. And O'Connor turns his way into a bit of trouble. And that's the situation there, I think, where Harmon picked the ball up, went straight back. He had time to roll and assess his options forward. And Zywalker Kid goes for a stroll up the field, finds Bessel.
They have just lacked a little bit of spark in their final third, Canterbury. And again, we saw that situation where Redmond was forced to reconsider that pass instead of having one really obvious and on. Gill's found himself top of the circle and he's put it into the bottom corner. That's fantastic from Gill. Govan Gill, just a lovely receive, and he's just walked straight into the top of the circle, one-timed it, finds the bottom corner, and that really completes his day.
Yeah, absolutely criminal there. The Lions midfielder went to absolute sleep, and Govan Gill needed no further invitation than the stroll to lead into that channel. It opened up at the top of the 25, just led straight in behind Brendan Watson, and bang! Yep, thunderbolt
like you
from
said,
the top of the circle.
that's criminal, and that is the playing coach, Brendan Watson, out there has just given Gill a metre, and Gill's punished him, and that's going to hurt Canterbury as they chase this match, especially as the minutes tick away now. And Northwest, who haven't given up a single goal this match, it is hard to think that they'll give up 3 now.
Just love the way that Matt Lim goes about his hockey as a defensive midfielder, gets to the right areas, really smart and intelligent, always rubbernecking and knowing where his passing options are. Where do you see him, Scotty, as someone that potentially might come into the fold for Hockey One? Would you like to see him nominating for Tasmania, having only played a year and a half in the Premier League? Or
I would absolutely love Matthew Lim to play Hockey One. If that is an option that's on the cards for him and for Tasmania, I think it'd be a no-brainer to give him an invitation. I think he'd play really well at that level. I think he's played a couple of games with the Perth Thundersticks back in the old AHL, so he's got experience at that level, but his passing is elite, and I wouldn't be surprised if it matches up nicely with the best in the nation. And if you go back and roll the tapes back, look at every goal Northwest Grads scored last year while he was in that side. More often than not, it was either him or Govan Gill who was at the start of the chain of passes that led to a goal. And that's down to their vision and also their ability to be able to pick out a pass over long or short distances, but accuracy off the pass is elite from Matt Lim. And so if Hockey One is something that's on the cards, I would love to see it.
yeah, I'm a big fan as well, Scotty, and I think it's a no-brainer provided he can commit to the training load and have himself in tip-top shape. But a very clever player, and I just think the way our Tassie side might line itself up with the Devons and the Haywoods at the back. Josh Belts has made himself a very accomplished defensive mid. I think if Lim could do that as well, then it gives us the option of playing Optimum either striker or even back in his preferred position at right half, which really strengthens our case to be medal winners. Now, important couple of moments now in Canterbury's season. I'd like to see them fight this one out, Scotty, and if they can just draw a goal back or start to create a couple of good opportunities, I think they've got something to take away from this game. They've been a little bit direct, a little bit narrow with their circle entries. All they've had to do is this, recycle the ball all the way out and around. So really lacked their normal penetration today.
I'll be honest though, I don't think the loss hurts them so much, and in fact I think it might actually be good for them. They've had a really good start to the year. They're set up nicely inside the top four. There's not a whole lot of pressure coming from behind them. And I think this is probably, if they use it, and if they go back and review the tape and think about it and find out where they went wrong and what they can do better, I think this has probably come at the right time for them. Wouldn't be surprised if this makes them a stronger team, especially with the calibre of players who are coaching the side at the moment. There's 3 guys who can really pull apart the review and make changes for the better. So yes, it's going to sting and it's a bad loss. Donovan tries to make an attack, but Victoria sends it straight back up the other end. White has a battle on to keep it in and doesn't quite do it at the end. But I think if Canterbury use this and learn from it, I think it'll be good. And it's good timing in the season as well. Like I said, they have a good start, and this gives them a chance to just reset some of their goals and learn a few big lessons that might hold them in good stead for their run into finals.
Another great pass from Goblin Gill to Angus Cooper, connects with White. It's probably the time of the game where I'd be taking Goblin Gill and putting him on ice now. Another impressive performance from him. I think he's outshone McCulloch for mine with a very neat goal. Very nearly 2, but he just chopped down on a backstick attempt, and he's had a good day out. Gill he's moved well, and he's a big talent. He can look after his body and remain consistent in his play. But this is a great opportunity as well for Northwest graduates to get some minutes into Angus Cooper, Oliver Stebbings, a couple of young state players, young Yammer O'Keefe, who's come on in leaps and bounds with his hockey. So good opportunity for them to close this game out. And a nice physical battle there between Donovan and Walker Kidd. Donovan comes out on top and then absolutely cleans up a player, and very unnecessary. Donovan and McCormack clashing off the ball, and Jai Walker Kidd did not like what he saw and came in 3rd man up, and he's probably going to find himself finishing the game in the sin bin. Donovan cops a green. Walker Kidd's got a cop a green, but it's been upgraded by umpire Kitchener to a yellow. And I think that's a fair result, but there might be a couple of other people looking at the tape a little bit closer after this game, Scotty.
Yeah, I don't think there was too much in that. I think it was just a clash, and we know Donovan does go in hard, so certainly not complaining about the card for him. Walker Kidd certainly could find himself in a little bit of trouble, as we have seen. There's a bit of form with suspensions as Tyson Bessel finds himself through on goal. Great work from Larkin, cleans up 2 of his own players. Does well to stop the shot from Harvey Bessel as well. There's action at both ends, players flying all over the place.
We have seen 6 players go down in 30 seconds of hockey here, Scotty. It's extraordinary. I just had to check that we weren't at the ice rink, and the Bessel boys combined beautifully there to create that opportunity. Larkin, quick off his line, only had eyes for the ball and took a few teammates with him tumbling, and somehow out of all that we've had Harvey Bessel with a follow-up shot that got caught in the pads of Larkin just momentarily, and I think that might be why we've got a penalty corner now. No Walker Kidd on the field, so it might be the chance for young Oliver Stebbings. It's probably something he dreamt about last night. He'd be 3-0 up and get a late penalty corner opportunity.
Very good conversion rate from his under-15s tournament.
And a fantastic flick, low and hard to the keeper's left. Saved by Ian McHugh, who's just amazing in that, just repeatedly able to thwart attempts on that post. That was humming for an under-15 player, Scotty.
It's a very nice drag flick indeed, and probably would have scored against anyone else other than Ian McHugh, who's probably the best in the competition on that left post. I think only Ben Reid probably gives him a run for his money, but certainly Ian McHugh regularly features saving Canterbury on the goal line from those exact situations.
Yeah, I think you might be being a bit hard to leave James Thomas out of that group, but particularly given Ben Reid took one on the body today. But absolute fantastic stuff by Ian McHugh. As you've alluded to, there's only a few in the game that are courageous enough, but also have the brilliant hand-eye. Speaking of hand-eye, McHugh has picked up that from about a yard out and gets diving at the far post with the follow-up, but Sean Redmond's unable to connect with him as the seconds are starting to tick away in this game. But that's what he can do in McHugh. Very active and agile in the press, courageous with their big ice hockey glove, and Northwest Graduates would just want to see this game out now and keep the clean sheet. But James Burke's coughed the ball up to a young fella there for Canterbury. Might be Lugan. Not someone we've seen a lot of today. But McHugh just got himself busy. Chance for McCulloch now. Spreads the ball through McCormack's feet. Saved by Harper. And this is how the Lions can play at times, and that contest between Tyson Bessel and Ace Hogan-Jones is only stopped by the final siren. So we'll have Northwest Graduates 3-0 winners today against Canterbury. That'll take them into clear third spot. They'll gap the Lions now by 3 points and sit equal second with OHA on goal difference. Of course, OHA just extended their goal difference advantage with a 10-1 win against University. You can catch that replay on the Mercury website